think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host John Clor. You know, this is the Motor City and this is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. I hope you're going to love this topic today. I think you're going to stick around for it because it's pretty much affected all of you if you've been driving for even a little while or a long time. This one's going to come close to home because it's today on the way into the studio. I saw someone out there checking on me. This person had a dark car. It had lights in it. And he wanted to make sure that as I drove down Lakeshore Drive that I wasn't doing 39 miles per hour, that I was doing 35 miles per hour. Have you ever been pulled over by the police and caught speeding? Have you ever received a ticket for going 66 in a 55 or whatever? Well, then you're going to really be interested in this show because we're going to talk about, is it time to finally decriminalize speeding and understand what the real dangers are on the road for safety, and it's not speeding. And to do that, we're going to talk to none other than Chris Sawyer of thevirtualdriver.com, and you're not going to get a ticket virtually for being here, Chris. Thank you for coming. It's really an important topic, Chris, because all of us, at one time or another, might have been caught, or at least even if you were given a warning. I know you flash your baby browns at them and you talk your way out of your tickets. But every once in a while,
really,
you know, every once in a while, you get a ticket,
wow,
and it's a dangerous thing to think that this is controlling our safety, because it really is not.
No.
But we'll get into that in a second, because first, you know what we want to do?
The news.
Yes, it's very good, Chris. We're going to find.
I'm getting used to this show.
You're going to find out what's in the news, and I'll take this first item if you don't mind.
Oh, please do.
Okay. Now, it's no secret that today's infotainment systems, all this new stuff in the cars, they're not all that they're cracked up to be. I mean, folks, when you buy your car, you just love it. They got the big 7-inch center screen. You got all the buttons and knobs. This thing can check the weather, find you a restaurant. You know, you can go.
I can fire missiles on Russia. Yeah,
no,
great.
It doesn't do that, but it's pretty. It's getting there, Chris.
Yeah, well,
I know.
Good. I want that one.
But my favorite car magazine, not Consumer Reports, said that in-car electronics generated more problems than any other quality issue in all cars. It's the biggest problem for owners today. So it's not like the wheels fell off your Yugo and you blew off the...
And it's not really a quality problem, as you and I used to understand them
as quality.
Car doesn't go.
But it's reported as quality. So Consumer Reports is saying, now here's what they're saying. Cadillac, Ford, Honda, and Lincoln are leading the charge with this new infotainment systems, and they're also leading with the quality issues on the systems. People are complaining about them. So Lincoln, and especially Lincoln, because they were at the top of the pack and then fell when they added a new app.
Right.
So here's the question. Consumer Reports says, let's recontact these people and survey them and find out that 60% of these people had problems, reported a problem because they couldn't learn how to use the system. It wasn't that the system's broke, folks. You're the same guy that's got a VCR and it keeps flashing 12. You got a smartphone and say, when I do this, how do I get my pictures to come back?
And they say things like, dag nabbit.
No, they don't say dag nabbit.
Oh, sure they do.
No, we're not making fun of our senior citizens, but, you know.
I am one now.
Okay, that's right. I'm in the AARP.
I'm not.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, it says, this is the cool thing. They said there was no malfunctions going on, that part of the problem is that the dealers didn't spend time to train you properly. It's not that you can't get it.
Right.
Just because you're a little bit older doesn't mean you don't understand the technology. You just weren't trained properly.
Right.
Now, nearly 70% of the people of 65 and older had difficulty learning the system, but only 37% of those aged 18 to 44 had that problem.
Right, because they're
those
used to
young
electronics.
whippersnappers, and the only reason it is, you kids aren't any smarter. You just are used to it more, that's all. That's why you can't cook.
These are the same people I see in the airport waiting area doing this all day
and
long.
they're at the dinner table on Thanksgiving all texting themselves and saying, hi, Uncle John.
Grandma, that was great stuffing. Thank you, dear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but all in all, doesn't mean that the automakers are off the hook on this one, because at least half, no matter what age you are, half of the people say that they're really not satisfied with their infotainment system. So there's clearly some more work to be done. Very strange. Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for it, mostly because you can't put all this stuff in the cloud and make it work. Things have to get much faster electronically. It's not like having a tablet and having things go real quick.
No.
You're in a car. For
Just
God's
like
sake,
cars
it's
do-
a car, drive it.
Cars are more capable than we are, and so are the electronics.
Yes.
Why don't you give us one, Chris?
Okay. Everyone knew it's only a matter of time before the Chinese showed up in this market.
No,
and,
please don't tell. No, no, they're not.
It looks like BYD could be the first.
BYD, wasn't that a Michael Jackson song? Pretty young girl. BYD?
I
No?
don't think so.
Okay.
No, the company announced that it will start selling cars in the U.S. by the end of next year, so hide the kids. Bloomberg reports the company plans to hit the American market with 4 models.
No way.
And company spokesman says BYD plans to offer cars that compete in quality and innovation rather than just offering a cheap price.
Chris, Chris, can we just beep the horn on this one?
Yeah. One of the cars is a plug-in hybrid sedan called the Quinn
Oh.
that sells for over 31 grand in China.
Now, Chris, we've seen those Chinese cars in Detroit a couple years ago, and those were just, I mean, it looks like
Atrocious? Horrible?
Gas Monkey Garage do a better job with that.
Yeah.
The welding.
After a big bad drunk, they were going to do a better job.
I can't understand how they think they're going to come in here with the technology and wait, they bought Volvo. They bought.
That's Geely, yeah, and Geely and Volvo.
That's how they did it, folks. They didn't have to learn it. They just bought a company already, and they're just going to leverage all their.
In fact, Volvo has a new architecture. The SPR architecture is going to be mid-size and larger cars. They're working on another architecture for below that, and that's going to be for their smaller cars, but it's also going to be all the Geely offerings. So yes, you'll be able to buy your Volvos under the Geely badge soon enough.
Oh, Geely. Yeah, well, listen, I'll wait for that one. No thanks, I'll keep buying American. Anyway, now that the sales of battery and electric cars, I mean, they're actually, for years they struggled to sell any kind of big volume. You know, and I was rooting for you folks. I always waved to anybody driving a Chevy Volt. It's cool, I like that. But automakers are now turning their attention away from you electrics. They're looking to fuel cells. They're thinking, you know what, we gave electrics a really good shot. Now they want this. Now there's the technique you get, you put hydrogen into a tank, and then it goes into the fuel cell, which powers the motor, which stores some of the power into the battery, yet drives the car. I'm just trying to figure it all out, Chris. All I know is, okay, the reason I know this is because even a company like Hyundai, they said, that, back at the LA show, they unveiled this fuel cell Santa Fe, and they said they're going to sell it in the U.S. market this spring, which is next spring actually, for $499 a month, $500 a month, which isn't really that bad for, you know, a high electric car.
Honda had their fuel cell vehicle that you could lease.
So you're right, and this lease is a 36-month lease, so $500 for 36 months, and you only need $3,000 down, and they said that they have this technology on the hydrogen station that only takes 7 minutes to fill that tank. So you're not waiting there that originally takes so long to fill the tank. And the company says that they can make about 1,000 of these fuel cell cars, and they said by 2016 it's going to advertise using the tagline, "We've reimagined the EV."
Oh, they got to come up with something better than that.
Well,
Please.
Chris, it's technically an electric vehicle.
It is. Of course it is.
So they're saying for those of you who think you got to plug it into your,
no,
home.
this is the technology that could potentially make electric vehicles saleable, really for the broad market.
But
and beyond the old idea of Tesla and quickly doing the supercharger deal. This works the way that you're used to doing a car. You drive it, you run it down, you fill it up, you drive it, you run it down, you fill it up, you drive it, you run it down, you fill it up.
But the problem is we don't have hydrogen filling stations. I haven't seen I know I went down Mac and I haven't seen any. Mac and Moross.
You're not going to.
Rick Graham Station up there in Mac and Moross still just sells diesel, regular, premium. So where is the hydrogen?
We'll get back to you on that one.
Okay. Why don't you take
In the same vein,
or wire.
U.S. sales of full electric and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, easy for me to say, in 2013 jumped 84% over 2012.
Unbelievable.
To 96,000 units. Come on, in a 16 million unit year. Come on.
All right.
Now, price cuts spurred the sales.
Well, duh.
Yeah, in 2013.
Here's a deal.
In 2013, the automaker sold nearly 49,000 plug-in hybrids,
That's a
up
lot.
27%. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And 47,600 electric vehicles, up 241%. That's according to Ward's Automotive. That's a big jump over the 18,000 sold in 2011.
Yeah.
And all the big sellers in plug-in hybrid and electric vehicles sharply cut prices last year to spur lagging sales. Funny how it works.
Well, that's what the hybrids, Toyota for years subsidized the hybrid technology so they'd sell those cars. Those cars were loss leaders.
But they have to sell them because they have to meet the CAFE standards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just wait till you can start getting hybrid pickup trucks coming to a Ford dealer near you. And the rise has been fueled by a big jump in Tesla Model S EV sales, which sold about 18.8 in 2013
But,
at 100 a pop.
oh, folks, if you have $100,000 in your
It's a
mind,
beautiful car.
it's well then
It's
do
a
what Bob
gorgeous
Lutz
car.
did and puts a big old
No,
honking-
that's the Fisker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
Good idea.
it's funny you should say that because that
Yeah,
car originally started out as a Lotus I designed for Lotus back in 1998.
That's what I want.
Funny how it works.
I'll take the Tesla with a gas motor.
But
for
there's also
200.
been a jump in Nissan Leaf sales.
Oh,
But, you know, they're pushing more of those out there. The price is coming down.
Tesla with a gas motor for 1,000, please.
Yes. But others have collapsed.
Yeah, but
Coda.
let's be honest.
Including BYD, those guys who think they're going to sell cars to us.
They already lost their electric car business.
Funny how that
yeah,
works.
Scary.
You
Listen,
got another one.
Speaking of hydrogen, I want to stay on this because hydrogen
You're just full of gas today, aren't you?
well, rises to the top here in
Ugh,
present context.
As long as it's the top.
Now, that may be the answer for the future, this hydrogen, but listen, where do you fill them? That's the problem. And I've always said this about the technology. I mean, I'm not against the technology. I love it. But infrastructure has to be in place first, so then you got to have like a gas pump, like a plate, like you got to have something that you're familiar with. You can't go to like the back of the lawn and garden center and fill up where the propane tanks are. You got to know, pull into a place and fill up. So the problem is Toyota said, you know what? The governments aren't doing this. They're giving us the rules instead of giving us infrastructure.
Right.
So what they're going to do, because they have all the money, because they have a favorable exchange rate, they have more money than Oprah, and now they can,
That's a lot.
well, they've got it all. So they can now, they're going to put money into investing in infrastructure. So they're saying they're going to start building hydrogen filling stations, are you ready for this, at Toyota dealers, so that you got to stop at the dealer to fill up. Pretty cool, huh? Hey, how you doing? Yeah, want to buy a new one? And, are you ready? At trash dumps. We have so many trash dumps that give off methane gas, they figure they can power it with the methane.
Well, the methane can be turned into hydrogen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
they
works.
siphon off the methane.
Recombination.
So wouldn't it be great? You think it's bad enough going to a stinky old gas station getting gas in your hands, that you get to go to the garbage dump to fill up?
Not
well, what are you going to
quite.
smell like when you get home after that? Huh?
Febreze.
Yeah, there's always an answer. You wear those cute little gloves. But folks, we got a real serious topic to talk about. We're going to get in even more trouble. We love law enforcement. We love the fact that we have lots of good police officers out there, but tracking down all the speeders in the United States and in our area, we were going to shed a little bit of light on this, on why maybe it's time to decriminalize speeding right after this. Hi again, and thank you for watching Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. We're back, and we're going to be talking to Chris Sawyer of the virtualdriver.com. Great
John?
blog. Chris, you know, when you were writing for Auto Week, I thought, your news stuff was just the best in the industry. But now that you have your own blog, no publisher telling you what to do, it's kind of empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's tiring.
But I hate my boss.
Who's your
Fire
boss?
me.
You are. Yeah. Okay. So this is why I have you in today, Chris. I want to talk about some of the issues of driving and owning a car. Obviously, is we've got to drive every day, and we're on different roads and different streets from our neighborhood 25-mile-an-hour kids playing, children playing with balls coming into the street, be careful, to, you know, like Ford Road and some of the big thoroughfares, Groesbeck, Gratiot Avenue, where traffic, there's a lot of traffic. You got to really know people are coming at you from every direction, all the way to the freeways, whether it be I-94 across town or you take 696 up that way and go on the what's known as Detroit's Autobahn. Or if you're heading out and...
No, that actually used to be M14 for quite a while.
Yeah, that's right, M14 even so, until the pavement disintegrated.
Yeah.
The people nowadays are really getting frustrated with the fact that our speeding fines, our traffic fines, are now highest in history. I mean, a 5 over can cost you $40, $50, $60. A 10 over or more can cost you over $100. A speeding ticket or two can put you into a remedial driving class, which the state is set up, and now that's another $100. Basically, for having something on your dashboard being this far apart, whether you're driving 39 and a 35 or you're 5 or 4 over, all of a sudden now you've turned into be a huge risk. Your points and insurance. Now the courts are working with you to, if you pay extra court fine costs, you don't get points on your record. It's beginning to stink like a...
Money and law, two things that don't mix.
In my America...
It's where corruption comes from.
Chris, in my America, they wouldn't be together.
Well, they shouldn't be.
So what is the real answer? Now, we know that when the car first came into reality, people were just driving all over the place, scaring all the horses, running people over.
Scaring the poo right out of them, yeah.
That was. I mean, you could tell by looking at the street. The bottom line was they had to have some kind of law and regulation. They made things called the traffic signal. Good idea.
Invented here.
Yes, that's right.
In Detroit.
About a young black, was he a police officer?
I think so, yes.
A Detroit police officer, young police officer. People don't realize it was Black History Month, and this guy actually saved how many millions of lives by saying, hey, wait a minute, you stop and you guys go. You know, good idea. Bottom line, we needed, someone believed we needed speed limits because they did this study that said if you took your car and you ran it into that wall at 3 miles an hour, you'd walk off and say, what was that? But if you ran it into your wall at 50 miles an hour, you'd be hurt. So to protect ourselves from ourselves,
yes,
our law enforcement agencies and our governments impose speed limits on all of our roads. And for years we were, when we took driver's ed, which is, so we watched those black and white movies of the, you've seen them, folks. If you were back in the 50s and 60s and 70s taking driver's ed, you saw where that old 1950s, you were laughing at the car because they didn't make it anymore, smashed it and some guy's laying out there because, oh, these people are killed. It's a horrific, now we're not making fun of the fact that people die in traffic. It's a horrific problem. But what we're trying to, our point is that these speed limits were imposed on these roads for a reason, and they apparently did engineering studies, Chris.
Yes, and when engineering studies are done correctly, and politics stays out of it, it all makes sense. There's something called the 80% rule. And you set the speed limit at the speed at which 80% of the people are driving when there's no speed limit on that road. And that is where the best traffic flow is. It's the safest because most people are driving at that speed limit. Accidents happen not because people are all driving platooned at the same speed. If they would have no chance to hit each other. It's when they're all going these discordant speeds. What really happens, though, is that politicians get involved in it and they start saying, we can make some money out of this, and they lower the speed limit beyond the 80%. And so you end up in situations where the speed limit is lower than it should be, or where it would naturally be. And people then have a natural tendency to drive at a higher rate of speed than the posted limit, and somebody sits off on the side and goes, there you go. Yeah, that guy with the radar cop, and there's no fighting radar. I mean, they point the gun at you. It's a number, and you can be you bring in a scientist. Yes, it's numerical and can be quantified. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to fight. So can my intelligence, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm not that smart. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been on the show once or twice, and I can tell you, you are shedding some real important light on this subject. Folks, think about what we're saying here, that these speed limits are set up basically for our safety, but what's happened is our cars have gotten way better. Our stopping distances are lower. There are also rules put in place for certain streets, if they're by residential, had to be 25. Whether or not it should have been 35 or 45, nobody ever argued with it. Things were just done arbitrarily as the suburbs grew faster than the studies could keep up with. The other thing is our freeways, Chris, are way better. Well, now look, here's a guy in the speed limit. Now here's a guy in a 50-mile-an-hour zone decided to see how fast his supercar would go, and when it hit 167, that's a sign I'd love to see. I am not
going to tell you
Depends on
folks,
where
huh?
you are.
As former auto journalists who worked and lived in this Detroit area with very many supercars under our belt, I'm not going to tell you that this guy nor this guy had never once gone maybe a Specco, I don't know, 167, but we
No.
may have tested the cars out a little bit.
Right.
And I got to tell you folks, the
Always
speed limits
safer.
on the freeways today are a joke.
Oh, well, so are the freeways themselves because the road is so poor. I actually think that Governor Snyder has a really good idea in that he wants to, well, he's going to increase taxes to redo the roads, and I don't really like that. But one of the things that he's demanding is that the state police then go through and redo all of the speed limits across the state based on traffic studies and the 80% rule. That makes a hell of a lot of sense. It will raise some, it will lower others. What it will also mean is that there won't be as much revenue coming in. So like the fuel economy standards that suddenly had people going, okay, wait a minute, we're not making as much money per gallon because people are saving it.
Right, right.
And then they go and put things like ethanol in the fuel, which does nothing more. It doesn't expand the fuel amount that we have or anything else. It makes your car get less mileage so you pay more. It's a scam.
Bottom line, we've got to cut to the quick on this, folks. We have to understand speeding is dangerous, yes, but we already have what they call reckless driving laws. If someone's driving recklessly, the police have the power to pull them over and arrest that person. But for you to be treated like a criminal arbitrarily because you did 39 and a 35, and to use our police resources, folks. I'm from a law enforcement family. I'm from a law enforcement family, and my own son is in law enforcement. I love the law enforcement community. I at one time was in the Michigan State Police Student Trooper program. Thought I was going to be a trooper, but I don't believe in the fact that the enforcing the speed limits the way I believe what's happened is we have shifted this over to a monetary system. This is a way for the police departments to pay for more cops. It shouldn't be paid by that. It should be paid by the need of the society to police itself.
Absolutely.
Not on our road.
Absolutely, and there are other things that have to be done. We have to greatly improve driver training. The driver training we're doing now, for God's sakes, I saw what my nieces and nephews went through, and you have to go through and learn how to parallel park. Who cares? You got cars that do that for you now.
We want you folks.
I've driven in Germany, and I drove in Germany before they opened the wall fell down. And let me tell you, West German drivers were the most fantastic drivers on the planet because they drove at speed, unlimited speed on the Autobahn. They had discipline, and they watched out for what other people were doing, not this willy-nilly crap we do on the freeways.
It's crazy, and I have to admit, I loved when Montana said the speed limit is what is safe and prudent. That's a great idea. We're going to revisit this whole idea. What do you think? You send your notes and comments to me at jclor@carsandcontext.com, and we're going to tackle it. But you know, right now it's time for one of my favorite features on the show.
Pride in my ride?
Yeah, you got it, buddy. Pride in my ride is where you send me a picture of your car and you tell me why you have pride in your ride. This one, again, comes from someone, not from the local area, but someone who's been watching Cars in Context on our YouTube channel. This one comes from a guy named James Albera. He lives way out in Nipomo, California, and he spotted Cars in Context TV on YouTube while he was searching for a video about the Detroit Packard plant. And our buddy Joe Babias and I did a show on the Packard plant, and it's the #1 most watched show on our YouTube channel. That people love the Packard plant.
It's not me?
Sorry, Chris. Maybe the speeding show will do it. Now James is a fan. He sent in pictures of his 1993 Ford Taurus SHO. He said this is his third show, and although it's an automatic transmission model that he bought because his wife can enjoy it, he wants to be looking for another one equipped with a stick shift like the ones he used to own. He said he owned a 94 Gen 2 and a 1990 Gen 1 show previously, both with a stick. He writes to me saying, John, I've long been a fan of the Ford Taurus. SHO is an inexpensive, fun-to-drive sedan. Please put it on your show. There you go, James. Thanks for sending that in to Cars in Context. If you have a car that you want to appear on the show, send it to me, jclor@carsandcontext.com, and we'll put it on the air. But you know there's even more.
There is.
This part of the show is where people get to talk to us.
Oh.
This is where we have viewer mail. We always ask Lauren Parrott from WMTV. Lauren, is it possible that Cars in Context has viewer mail to read?
Of course, John.
Oh, thank you, Lauren.
Always viewer mail.
Thanks for sending that in, and thank you, Lauren, for bringing it up.
This is just the stuff that she can print.
That's right. The rest of it, Lauren put in the trash. No, she never does that. She brings right out to us.
She just takes those bad words out.
She crosses out the bad words. Go ahead, Chris. You take that first one.
This one's from Alan B. of Grosse Pointe Farms, who watches Cars in Context on Comcast Cable Channel 915, which is HD. And he says, "Dear Cars in Context, I think the whole problem these days with driving is that most people don't seem to know the basic rules of the road and are simply terrible, inconsiderate drivers.
Wow.
Do you have any idea why or what can be done to remedy this problem?
Alan?
Other than shooting them all?"
Running them off the road, Alan? No, what do you
We
do?
need better driver training. We really do. And
Just
if
mentioned
you have a young driver in your household, especially if you're in Michigan here, it's not that far of a drive to go down to mid-Ohio and put them in a performance driving course, or one up in Grattan
Yeah.
on the other side of the state. The best money you will ever spend is to teach your children how to deal with the car at the limit. Now you're probably saying to yourself, I don't want them to know the limit because then they'll go fast. No.
They're going to go
Nothing-
fast anyway.
If you know something, you'll find out that once you get used to the speed, you don't really drive faster. You drive much
You just
better.
drive better. Yeah, and Ford has something called Driving Skills for Life, where they come to your town and it's free. You bring the family out. It's a free driving skills
It's a
course.
great thing to do.
Folks, get enrolled in something like that. It's a great idea. Thank you for that
Absolutely.
question, Alan. That's a good question. We'll track that as well. I've got one from a guy named Drew C. of Grosse Pointe Woods. He watches Cars in Context on 915. Hey, HD is the thing. You
Yeah.
guys are the bomb. It says, "Dear John, when is Cars in Context going to address the biggest reasons why young people aren't into cars anymore?" This is in caps, and Lauren didn't put this in lowercase for us. "They are too expensive to buy, own, and insure these days." Drew,
You're right.
you're right. That is the reason. Well, that's not the only reason, but one of the reasons why young people can't really get into cars is because with the technology and the laws and everything that's involved with and insurance, they're so expensive, and
Think about it this way, John. When we were back at Auto Week, people were decrying the fact that the average transaction price for a car was at $20,000.
That's right, I remember
It was
that.
an enormous amount of, actually it was less than that. And now it's gotten worse because all of this equipment that's going onto the cars and all of the things that we are asking for in terms of infotainment and all the rest.
Got to have it all.
It gets to the point where they do get more expensive. For a lot of people, the best thing to do is to go out and buy an off-lease used car. Get an off-lease car because it's been taken care of. The company still owns it, so they take care of it. And that way you get the best of both worlds.
It's a couple years old.
But
it's been broken in.
they are expensive, and it is a problem, and I don't know what to do about it, quite honestly.
Folks, you young guys out there and young gals for watching this show, our heart's with you, and we're pushing the automakers to make smaller, fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive little cars, entry-level cars that have stuff on them. I think the idea now of small but good, the Hal Sperlich model, if you will, make a small, good, affordable car for young people, and so they can step up. And the trouble is, young people now they drive their mom and dad's $80,000 luxury car, and they want all that stuff. It's hard to buy a stripper, no bones, nothing kind of car. It's difficult. But
Yeah.
hey, kids, you got to pay your dues. You got to start someplace. A lot of kids get a job and they think
They just
"Why don't
turned
I
off,
have a-"
John.
What?
They
Why
just heard you
tune me
say
out?
that, and they just
All
turned
right,
off.
get the kids back.
Thanks, John.
Bring them back in. There's time to get you a lesson, kids. You don't get the corner office by working 2 weeks. No.
You don't?
Don't tell them that. Well, thanks for that question, Drew. And listen, if you have a question you'd like us to answer on the air, send it to me, J. Clor at carsincontext.com, which you can also go on to check the TV schedule, see what's on next.
Absolutely.
And we'll be sure to have Lauren bring it out, and we'll answer it on the air for you. Folks, we're already out of time.
Really?
Yeah, I was speeding through it, I guess.
At least we didn't get a ticket.
Yeah, it didn't pull me over.
Ooh.
Thanks again to Chris Sawyer,
You're
editor
welcome.
and founder of thevirtualdriver.com. Make sure you check out his blog. And make sure you visit us again, because the bottom line is, folks, remember, knowledge is power. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm John Clor. See you then.